onto the Rift for Dusty. They've pulled out a comp here in what could be the final game of the night to earn them a back-to-back title here in the NLC. And it's disgusting, frankly. Ooh.
What is more disgusting is that when a Nautilus anchor is coming your way, you can see it. When a Nautilus ult is coming your way, you can see that too. Gragas Cask, Body Slam, all of them, you can see them. An invisible Monka that's ulting while dashing forward, you can't freaking see. So how do you dodge that? Because this is going to be the entryway for Backland into the backline. Linces getting that perfect ultimate while he is dashing invisible. And I think this is going to be a huge problem because even though Chrisberg, we're chatting with them a little bit, is on his I want to win champion. That is Xayah. That is his I want to win this game champion and I'm going to 1v9 it. It's going to be very difficult to dodge these.
But I do think there is always the chance now in this kind of competition of an overdive. Now, Sam and I are very familiar with a region halfway around the world called the LJL, and there was a very famous series there where the underdogs beat quite a famous team over there by playing Xayah with peel, but you're not going to get any peel at level 1 on your blue buff.
Level 1, they go in. Taxa has to flash out of the jungle. Linces gets the blue buff and can walk away. Ghost burn from Kerberos, but Taxa, that is a rough start for the Lee Sin, and we were literally, before we saw the ridiculousness of the draft and decided to talk about that instead, about to talk about Dusty tweeting out about any % speed runs, and they go and pull that off in a game throughout.
Yeah, and they're not exactly waiting up for anyone, are they?
No.
Where do you go now if you're Taxer? Because I'm pretty sure, exactly.
Oh, no.
I'm pretty sure Linces is just gonna beeline your red buff. You're level 1 on that Lee Sin, you cannot 1v1. Bot lane is being traded on as well. Mid lane's being traded on as well. No one's coming to your aid unless you can somehow steal that with your smite. You're absolutely.
Well, you don't have smite. You need to steal it with the Q. Linces did the Warwick tech. He walked across mid lane doing the Warwick path. You don't take any tower shots. Linces, he's really putting Taxer in an awkward position. Even if it resets, it's fine for them.
Voxney has got that empowered ability, looking to see whether he has to flash away from the QE combo. Linces down low, taken. Taxa gets the smite. Taxa gets the kill. Taxa gets first blood. It all goes wrong. Any % first blood. This time,
you know what they say?
Astralis.
They say payback is a B with double E. Because that must have felt so good for Taxa right there. His patience and his resilience to stick around, wait for this fight to come back up, and of course, this is, like we said, the I want to win this game Chrisberg champion. He's on his Xayah. He's absolutely been demolishing that bot lane. They got the heal, they got the flash already. They might even be threatening right here. Stend has to stand far back before that Seraphine heal came through, but all in all, good stuff right there. Wait, there's a dive.
Misses it. Trying to get this one over. Linces is around, but now Voxney and Linces will look to trade on end. Chrisberg taken low. He's got nowhere to go, and he will surely fall. The support dies, but Linces looking for a final auto. Does have the flash available. Will he need to use it, or is he going to have one final warrior trickster to hop on forwards with a Nimbus strike?
But this bot side action is working out in favor of Astralis. That kill around that red buff for Taxa, getting the double buffs, making sure he can get back into the game, getting some gold, getting some XP, honestly puts Astralis onto a pretty good track. He's got double buffs, he's level 3 versus the Darius, but you don't want to lose versus the champion.
My god, he's dead! The pass is going to start coming through, smites onto the Krugs, gets over the wall, flash, miss! Kerberos fails the flash, and now he's in a 2v1. Sonic Wave lands, but he's under turret, and Kerberos fails the flash.
What is going on? That was disaster from both sides. Taxer's like, I'm gonna dash through to this golem, but I do know that Darius is there, and I do know that Darius can 1v1 because he has the bleeds. Perfect. You know who's there? Carlson is there, but then Kerberos wants to flash, but he flashes onto a wall. But action is never ending because Stend is in the mid lane, Linces is in the top side jungle, Senkax is being pushed in, and they might be looking for a dive.
Oh, they're gonna try it, Kerberos.
Let's see live.
Kerberos getting trained on, has no mana, being ignited. Work! Carlson gets the solo kill. There's no time to chill. None at all.
I mean, like, on the dawn of the third game, look to the top lane, I guess. Carlson had a pretty good performance in that second game on the Aatrox again. Very nearly saw Astralis through to a team fighting victory. We haven't even got towards those yet. We're 5 minutes in, folks. You just have to enjoy the random skirmishes around the map. Not entirely sure why we're fighting, but we are, and I'm certainly enjoying it. But Dusty, for the first time in a very long time, struggling in the early game.
Macklin is going to find Taxa, who has been doing his very best to come back into this game after the level 1. Made his life oh so difficult. Has to burn the flash there. The lane gank works out. And before this game, we were going to set some stakes. We were going to say, look, Astralis looking for the reverse sweep, looking to find an early game where they're not completely out of it, where maybe they can find an angle to come back in and find their first damn LoL title ever, whatever league they're looking at. And then we ended up with this utter bloodbath and madness. And maybe this is exactly what they need, because honestly, Linces hasn't had the same impact because he died around the red buff, one of the second invade.
Sure, on the other hand, though, I was like, you know what? Twitch points are great. And you know what they're great at Gamba. So if we do have any mods in the chat, is Taxer gonna take any creeps off his own jungle, or is Linces gonna keep stealing them all? Because even though Linces has not had the same impact, as we mentioned, as in the previous game, he has consistently been stealing Taxer's jungle, which means that Taxer heavily relies on that bot quadrant with Grisberg and Kiba to help them get in and steal some back. If that's not gonna happen, then he's in very big trouble. Because as you can see, Linces right now is about two camps. There you go.
There we go.
He's about 2 camps up. He has his entire bot quadrant minus the blue buff, and his top side is about to spawn as well. So I think he's in a pretty good position right here to actually use that Monka as a carry later on, which is very fitting for his playstyle as a player.
So, we've had a couple of chats in this series about how, you have a couple of stages to beating Dusty and the way they've been playing this tournament, because, you have to overcome their early game aggression. Astralis, well, first 7 minutes, they are actually giving it much better than they're kind of receiving, I suppose, at this point from really Linces, really making them take hard decisions. But Astralis are, they're keeping even in that front, but they have to keep this up. Otherwise, Astralis, they're very much trouble.
Finds a solo. Beautiful stuff. Now in a 1v2, Linces has flash. May need to use it. Goes over the wall. Blue buff secured, but at what damn cost? Carlson's Aatrox 2-0.
Yeah, so about that. I think Astralis right here know the drill by now. Dusty are going to be living rent-free inside their jungle, right? The further you put Taxa behind, the better it is for Wukong, because Wukong can very much easily set up fights later on, whilst Taxa on the Lee Sin, and any Lee Sin has to look for these special angles for the kicks to create opportunities in the teamfights later on, which is much more difficult. Wukong, much more straightforward. So they know that the further behind you set that Lee Sin, the easier it will be for you to play these fights on the Wukong, but that's not the case, because Carlson is so strong on the top side of the map. Grisberg is so strong on the bot side of the map, and Backland right now is stuck in a melee versus range matchup that he's actually struggling in. So Linces cannot overextend, he cannot keep stealing, and he needs to be very wary of where the lanes are pushing.
That is exactly what I was going to say when you started off that point. It's like, if you don't cover that, I'm definitely going to start running on that point as well, because you can't.
Same page, guys.
When you're trying to deal with jungle matchups, when you're trying to put a jungler behind, you have to deal with the priority lanes first. With all of these lanes, having the push, having the ability to control a side of the map, makes it very hard to try and interrupt the jungler as well. Now, you don't have the Zaya to worry about at this fight, so Dusty, finding themselves towards Herald, looks like they're going to take that one uncontested.
Look, that's where Kiba is as well. He's not moved, so it is a 2v none in this bot side, which means it should be Dusty's Herald to take. This will be a third plate coming through for this Zaya. Grisberg does love that champion when you get a hold of it. Denvoxley now here as well. Sten following over, throwing down that last chapter, but the encore comes through, trying to turn this one around. Exhaust comes through. Denvoxley so low, has to flash out the feathers. Grisberg pulls him straight back through and shreds the songstress down. She's taken out, and a wonderful 2v2 kill on the bot lane.
Oh yeah, so about those problems in the lanes again, Grisberg down on the bot side of the map, you can try and mess with the jungle all you want, but this Zaya is now a problem. Great game 1, struggled in game 2, Grisberg making a statement in game 3.
I don't know if you'd really want it. 2 levels down for Linces, 1 level down for Kerberos. They don't have a ghost to keep running at him, and Carlson does have that ignite, which means he does have competitive bonus stats right there from that combat summoner. Linces wants to go.
Oh my god, he's just not going. Wait for it, wait for it. Here we are.
I'm waiting, Sam. I'm waiting.
No, so am I. We're all waiting.
Carlson is too. Carlson is too. I feel like this is so clever from Carlson. He knows that he's getting debated because Kerberos is playing behind enemy lines. Since when does Kerberos play behind enemy lines? Kerberos plays in your face on that Darius.
Third reset stopped. Linces just refuses to give up. He wants this, wants to open an account. Carlson
Oh,
finally
he's
runs
gone too
forward.
far.
The Invisible Chains are gone down. The World Ender now out, has got Ignite, yet to use it. Needs to find something. Cyclone 2 popped down. Got it pulled back with the Apprehend, looking for an Execute. Doesn't quite die, but the Clone will help shut down to Linces. And the time was not wasted, at least.
Yeah, and now, Carlson, I want to see what's happening with this top lane wave state. Of course, you don't have a teleport on the Aatrox. Linces sticks around to put that wave in. You have a Herald. You can shove in this wave, deny 10 or so minions to that tower, take a load of plates. You're not even forced to put down this Herald here. When you use Warrior's Trickster, you get to have the clone hitting the tower as well. It gives your Q onto the tower. Huge amounts of damage from both of these champions. They're going to take a lot here.
Taxa turns up, tries to clear at best the wave they can. 4 plates go down, not quite the whole tower, though. Bot side, I think it's a pretty similar story. Still got 1 plate remaining. Leaves this game pretty damn close. 400 gold lead for Astralis. First time we've really seen this the whole damn series, and they've got themselves a game state where it's not just one carry. You've got a scary Aatrox, you've got a scary Xayah, and Georgia. I feel like maybe we might actually have a little bit more of a competitive game, especially if they can make this gank onto Kerberos an effective
It
option.
looks like this because Astralis have more than one lane that's actually doing well for the very first time. Carlson's doing great in the top lane. Crispec is actually destroying that lane pretty much single-handedly, right? Because you don't have a second actual body to get that CC down with the Yuumi. So Crispec has been navigating that lane super freaking well. Got the entire tower and they're diving.
Throw down that final chapter. Encore comes through, but it's immune with that use of the Feather Storm. Crispberg and Kiba are just popping off down here. So aggressive. And they get another.
And now this is going to be, well, I mean, if it wasn't an issue in the laning phase, we talked about how, you know, we were rudely interrupted by a level 1 invade from Linces and crew by Dusty, but the point right from the start of the game we're bringing up is actually, you know, there is always the problem that Dusty can overdive into a Xayah Yuumi, and as much as you can get on top of them, see what's happening in this top side.
Wait, what?
Not much. Okay,
Wait,
again,
what?
trying to rudely... Linces has a problem with us mentioning the problems he's going to have specifically in team fights later on, because you try doing that onto a Xayah and a Yuumi who's got multiple kills, huge amounts of turret plates, and a Yuumi backing them up, you are going to really struggle to shut that carry down. Dusty going to have a difficult port of call to try and take down the carries of Astralis later on.
Carlson burned the ultimate the last time around. There's the flash. The Ignite's down as well. Looking to try and chase now. Good double knock-up.
Here's
Crispberg is
Crispberg.
here
Oh,
with
they are.
Kiba. Now a 4v2. They must extricate themselves. Kerberos, so much danger. Gets an apprehend, but is exhausted. Healing back up. Stend is here now as well. But they just don't have enough. Astralis are there quicker, earlier, and with more firepower, they get a hold of the Darius.
But this is so problematic because on one hand side, you see very clearly who the carry is. But on the other hand side for Dusty, especially when teams have that Seraphine Senna, the power of the comp is a little bit hidden, and it also comes much later on when these two champions have actually scaled into the late game. The shielding, the healing, the peeling, the extra room that the Senna Seraphine provide with you. But someone needs to carry for these two champions to actually provide the utility.
Ow.
And so far, for the set of Dusty, I'm sorry, but I do not clearly see the carry. Backland moves forward. He gets absolutely destroyed. Whilst for Astralis, it's very clear. Crispec is 1v9 right now.
Yeah, and, you know, just in that short trade there, we're, again, going to see this in even larger kind of stake scenarios as the game goes on. Now, if Crispec has ult, that one ult can turn the fight by itself, because once Wukong is in the fight, he's in. Once Yasuo is in the fight, he's in. Same with Darius as well. If Dusty do not hit the knockout blow like that at the start of the fight, that's it. The Xayah gets to disengage and do so much damage. Dusty have to approach these fights so differently.
Throw down the ultimate. They're going to try and keep themselves alive with the Curse of the Black Mist. Backland has to flash, though. And that's a big...
Crispberg is on a mission. This guy is just not willing to lose this game.
Guys, when Xayah got locked in, I've known Crispec since 2019. I started giggling to myself because, you know, the Sivus got thrown out. Of course, Sivir Yuumi is so powerful, Ezreal's, whatever you want. But, like, Xayah is the I am not losing champion. He's proving it right here. He has dominated 2 lanes back-to-back. Bot lane, took the tower, left, went top lane. He's diving, he's taking summoners, he's taking names, he's taking towers, he's taking everything pretty much. Now, you transfer him towards that mid lane, play for the dragon fight. You have a super strong Xayah right now, almost 2 items. No one has anywhere near 2 items in this game.
Absolutely, and compare this to the Lucian last game, which was taken completely out of the game for so damn long. So much more confident, so much more powerful. So Luden's now on Kiba as well, so he's going to be very obnoxious with the poke coming out on the queue. And we've already talked about the issues with Dusty's comp. It's behind, so that room for execution misplay just isn't there. Because if you're going in, you're staying in, you're trying to heal your way through it, and Astralis have a lot of tools to make that a very dangerous idea between the Aatrox, between the Xayah, backed up by the Yuumi, with the Lee Sin disengaged, with the Azir disengaged, now with a second dragon to their name as well. It's not even like there's a soul threat on the table for the side of Dusty.
And that's where I was going to draw my eye next, because Astralis can start increasing the pace of this game. It's going to be an Infernal Rift, which makes it, of course, the geography changes a little bit with that. Hard to fight in choke points. There are going to be bonuses and negatives to both these teams for that one. Dusty trying to respond with a Herald. Taxel here for the steal, potentially.
Backlund gets knocked out of the blast cone! Carlson! Going to find that beautiful kill. Gets a flash to boot from Linces, who does at least get the Herald. But Carlson, another man on a mission, another carry. Carlson and Chrisberg online in the same game. Say it ain't so.
Wow, and I think so far that the tale of the series has been how Dusty are pretty much destroying Astralis from very early on. And what is that the very early on? Laning phase. The way you treat your wave, the way you take trades, they were superior for 2 games straight. Astralis, when it came to teamfights, Dusty was superior. They were splitting them. They were picking out the key target. Right here, Dusty are playing on the back foot. And I think this is where champions are also made of, right? When you learn how to play from the back foot, when you start crawling back in, you have a lot of skill in your team. And they do. Yasuo with 3 items, so deadly. Seraphine, Senna. That Senna's going to start slowly but surely dealing damage. It's just how far can you fall to the point where it's not comebackable anymore and Astralis can open your base, because they have a lot of scaling as well. Somebody that we haven't even counted into the equation is Senkax, because he hasn't had to have a say yet. Everyone else is just running with the game.
You know, we had that Senna soul check-in just then. You know, it's heading up to around about that 50 mark, but hasn't really been able to have free reign of this game so far. And the Senna is not going to have the same ability to fight from the backline in the same way that this incredibly strong Xayah Yuumi does. They are in such a worse position than Chrisberg is right now.
They really are. And again, a brief reminder. Reverse sweeps are definitely a known phenomenon in Astralis. This would be step 1 into making that happen. A little reminder as well. Tweet thrown out by the Dusty Cap found by Nymera in the pregame, which says, please don't disturb us. Currently doing an Aurora Open speedrun any percent. We alluded to it earlier in the game. I think it was time to bring that one back out because I think Astralis might have taken that one personally.
I wonder what the last reverse sweep happened in NLC. Right. Was it Dusty that won in a reverse sweep? Oh, did they win in a reverse sweep? How poetic in the most cruel way possible would it be that Dusty, on the brink of winning their back-to-back championship, tweeted out something like that and then got slapped by Astralis with this kind of response. Fight is brewing, his ears coming down, the whole party's coming to play.
Trouble's right. Is indeed the right word is what we're going for as I lose my words. And Backlund is about to lose his life, you think? Gets a stop punch out of Senkax, but nothing more. Cannot dance around enough on the other side. My God. Chrisberg deletes the monkey.
All right, guys. I've got you the answer right here. So, because our mods are absolutely smurfing, they did put it in the chat.
They
did! We to steal all of Tax's jungle farm. The answer was ban Yuumi. You guys are freaking terrible at replying to questions, but that was a good answer.
They're not wrong. The Yuumi has been very potent alongside this side.
It wasn't any right question, but it wasn't a wrong one either. I mean, answer.
Right.
There are no stupid answers, just stupid questions. Or something
Stupid
like that. I don't know about that. Either way, there are definitely stupid champions. One of them's a cat on a book. Kiba is definitely having a very happy time on that champion. They're 1-0-4, building up towards the, I think it's going to be a Putrefy second. Typically tends to be that from Yuumi. You get yourself a lot of AP, a lot of cooldown reduction between that and the Ludens. And, Stend, I was wondering if a flash was going to be committed flash for flash, but not feeling that just there, because the dragon is coming up in a minute. No sense in delaying their setup and potentially throwing things away. And, you know, in the other games in Aurora Open against Dusty, again, it has come down to a point you think, you just have to just see if you can out-team fight Dusty, and the answer's been no for the entirety of the tournament. They have lost a single game the entire tournament. That was the Natives. They almost lost another game to them, but Astralis on the brink of forcing Dusty into their second game loss of the whole tournament. And they're actually doing that by denying Dusty any platform to team fight off in the first place. They're slaughtering them before they can even get to the 5v5s.
30 seconds until an Infernal Drake spawns. That will be sole point for Astralis. The Herald was about to time out, so had to be someone in mid lane. Gets distracted by Chrisberg, so unlikely to get a charge. Big deal. I will point out that now Dusty have at least got themselves mythic items, and largely, with the exception of Chrisberg, second items haven't been complete yet. That might mean this is the one and only chance where they're at least vaguely near parity.
But how do you enter this river? You have no vision. Your Yasuo is not even there.
Linces has a flank.
Linces has a flank, but everyone is so super squishy right now from the side of Dusty that how do you enter through a choke point where there's these Zaya feathers literally destroying you? Can't he steal at least the dragon?
A dream does not get the dragon, looking for a cyclone. Where's the follow-up? They're looking for a big ult. Has yet to be found. Chrisberg now throws down the ultimate. They do get the Aatrox. The encore afterwards is good, but so is that Emperor's Divide. Taxa bleeding out. Backer goes in. Dusty are winning the fight. Keeper can't get in. He's gone. Now Taxa and Chrisberg need to run. Oh no is exactly the right words. You can't out-team fight Dusty.
And Backland gets into the backline. It is a flank from Linces. It is a miraculous encore from Dunvoxner. And this Zaya, this battle master of a champion with so much gold, is taken out of the equation. The answer always comes down to, can you out-team fight Dusty? And the answer, even in this game, is no around that dragon.
Hold on, Taxa hasn't said his last word, though.
Steal on the Baron, steal on the Baron. Can he make it work? Watch for the Q, watch for the attempt, and he gets it! He steals the Baron!
Taxer, he got level 1 in his jungle and he pulls the miraculous still 4 of his teammates alive and they're all running towards that river.
Backlund now trying to but here's Chrisberg, the Zaya, looking for some vengeance, throws down the feathers, now needs to hop on in. The flow is popped. Kerberos coming forward, they've got in! Flash for that Decimate, double apprehend! They've gone too far! They get both of them!
What a weird series of plays! A teamfighter dragon, which Astralis had all the pieces in place to deny. They had the perfect entry into the river. They should have denied Dusty any sort of angle, but they don't manage to do that. The Wukong gets into the backline, and then everything gets crazy after that point. And Dusty thrive in the madness.
And I'm like, where do you find the damage from? You've got just a shield bow on that Yasuo, and Backlund manages to do the damage. That ultimate from Seraphine keeps everyone in the same position, which means the follow-up comes through from the Yasuo dashes. And honestly, you cannot keep getting away with these fights. That was a fight Dusty took with 4,000 gold deficit. Their pockets were absolutely empty. Taxa had one last word right here. Mind you, every single teammate of his is alive. So that steal was not only miraculous, but can stall you the game or help you push towers further. But Astralis overcommit, they overextend, and they get shut down again.
No, the fact that they end up losing their 2 carries right after they get the Baron means that they are not going to be able to utilize this Baron to its full extent. Yeah, you are going to have the Yuumi alive and the Aatrox alive with that buff, which means, yes, you can have a couple of lanes buffed up with it, but Astralis, they have to reset inopportunely after that Baron, and while they do keep themselves a gold lead and they keep themselves on soul point as well, this game is still looking a lot closer than it had any right to. We were, what, 10 kills to do? Something like that? Dusty clawing back that gold, getting into at least a semblance of relevance where before Astralis felt like they were choking out the game.
And one of the most important things is that Backline is now super close to his Infinity Edge. When we saw that fight happen, that replay, he just had a shield bow, nothing else. Now he's very close to his Infinity Edge. He's got the seal as well. He's gonna get that full crit. Hold on, Carlson.
Taken up with the last
That's another Baron to go.
Dropped out. Baron number 3 falls alongside, of course, Taxa earlier on. It is just Kiba now who has that buff. They've only really managed to get themselves a tier 2. They are at soul point, though. Remember that. A minute and a half until they could claim the soul. But right now, Dusty are more than able to begin contesting. How have they done it again?
I was just beginning to say how, like, the Yasuo is getting more items. If we can actually see how much gold maybe he has in his pockets right now, observers. He's not close to Infinity Edge, but he's close-ish. He's about 1 point something K. The next dragon is going to come up. He's not going to have the Infinity Edge, unluckily for Dusty. But look at the Senna inventory. When we're talking about that Senna, she had a serrated Dirk in her inventory. Now it's a full Eclipse. It's an Umbral Glaive. It is 2 items, 2.5 for the Seraphine as well. The shielding, the healing, the AP damage coming through is going to be huge. Plus that Darius with the Sterak's is going to be able to tank in that front line. So if Dusty can manage to actually get access into this river and pull one of their miraculous fights, they stop Soul from going to Astralis.
And after the NLC finals of summer, we actually had a lot of chance to chat to the Dusty players, and then Voxney had a large amount of things to say about the Seraphine and how it is very hard to outscale a Seraphine, even if you're against an AD carry. That was one of their games that they had against X7 in the finals, and in this game, yeah, you're starting to get to the point where the Seraphine, if you get enough skills down, suddenly you're looking like you have a lot of pass-through damage across the Astralis squad.
Keep your eyes on that. Keep your thoughts on that, because this fight may well determine
That's scary.
everything. They need to make it happen. Lince is looking for another flank. This time, Carlson wards it. Crisper gets a chunk onto backline, but it's already beginning to be healed back up.
I was about to say,
now coming through to get on over. Needs to reposition.
yes, his positioning was absolutely terrible right there, because if you get shuffled in from the Azir, you're really stuck in a choke point. You need to visit, you need to be grouped up with your team, so you have to teleport out.
Linzos finds Crisberg! He's dead! He's down! Kiba is dead as well! The cat is skinned and straight on out of the bag, and Dusty are claiming it! Gold galore! Dragon to boot! Surely there's no smite! There's no hope! And Dusty are right back in the game! The 80% speedrun is still damn on!
There are there's more than one way to skin a cat, but why did you change the equation when you can do it the same way? A Wukong over the wall to get the flank is insanely effective at getting on top of the carries.
And we talked about how difficult it is to actually evade an invisible dash, because the second he's on you, all he has to do is press R, you get the knockup. But the slow right there, also from Den Voxne, you see Crispec playing back and forth, you don't see it. He is through the wall and insta ult. You do not see it, and you die on the double knockup into that Seraphine ult. There is no chance for reaction for Crispec right there. And it was that one thing that we mentioned at the very early, is like, what's your setup when you're playing Yasuo? It is that Wukong. He gets in invisible. You have 0 seconds for reflexes.
Linces is very good at League of Legends. This guy is just a star. You know, looking back, you know, in summer, I think that Backlund was my MVP for the league. I think at this point, through Aurora Open and through EMS as well, I think it's been Linces. This player has gone from strength to strength. Keep your eyes on this jungler.
What a prodigy he is proving to be. What a monster he has been across this series. The Talir in game 1, 10 kills, 12 assists. Game 2, that Lee Sin getting things rolling. This game, when everything seemed to be falling apart after some of the invades didn't quite work out, he finds 2 engages just like that. And now they've got a Baron alive. Astralis are in position, but they've got to be so afraid. Crisberg has gone from, what, 4-1 to 5-4. That's so many deaths now in a row. Where Linces gets into the Dawning Shadow Encore combo. Jungler is down, and now it's a 4v5. But what about the turnaround?
Carlson.
It's pretty damn good. Kerberos very low. Carlson chunking out, but he has been hit by some Leandri's Torment. And Fox, they pull back! Has to flash. Will stay alive for now, but even in the 4v5, Astralis is still deadly, still dangerous.
Still deadly dangerous, but they have lost the jungler. And your objective right here on the map is going to be the Baron. So unless you want to start contesting it without a jungler, you need to try and make a pick. They're trying to get onto Dusty, but again, the healing, the shielding, all of this utility coming in from the Sinner Seraphine. Not only is it keeping them alive, but it's keeping Astralis at arm's length as well. Now, this tower going down by Senkax might buy them some time, which means that the mid wave is going to be consistently pushing into Dusty, and Astralis might even try to stop this.
I think they are, but what happens this time is that you don't have the Wukong off for the setup. Linces is hopping in, hopping out, checking with his own body for that. You don't have a teleport on the Darius either. There's no easy way to get into the pit, but Astralis, without the Azir there for the extra Baron damage, not able to force the issue just yet, and this will buy time for the Cyclone to come off cooldown.
thing is, if you back right here, Astralis. Okay, I thought Astralis were gonna try to pull a trick where they allowed Dusty to think that they're done with it, and they wait around because Taxa was just on his way back towards that river, so you can pull it off really quickly because you have the Zayana 0 damage. But it's not going to be the case. I think Astralis have fought really hard to be at this position. Only 1,000 gold difference between the two teams. This is the most competitive game they have showed in this series versus the undisputably strongest team we have on the NLC, and they can't just throw it on a Baron 50.
So we've been talking a lot about biding time, talked about how, Dusty get back into the game. Well, they're back into the game. They have Infinity Edge on Yasuo. They got 3 items with the Death Cap on Den Voxner as well. Dusty have themselves a gold lead when they were in a deficit for the first time this entire series. They are online, they're ready to fight, and they keep looking for these.
Oh my god, taken very low. There's the final chapter, not quite rooted. There's the clone that's rooted on the other side for Lince's. Backland's shield bow, though, is popped down to 25% HP. Watch for the Taxa getting in, but he's taken out, knocked up, knocked down. They're going to try and fly on in the feathers. Make sure the Seraphine dies, but already last breath comes through. Backland down to the GA. Chrisberg is still just about alive. Stan trying to hold people alive as well. Kerberos is now he wasn't for the whole fight. Carlson trying to make what happened. Chrisberg flashes forward. Can't get into the black mist. Kerberos looking for a decimate over the wall, and Chrisberg has no flash, no cleanse. Well, he has a cleanse, but no stopwatch, I don't think. Needs to get to this blast cone, pull back with the apprehend, Linces to the other side, kills off the Xayah. 4 for 2. Dusty win another damn fight.
That was a 4 versus 5. That Dusty won right there, that was a 4 versus 5, and it wasn't even a front to back. They caught the Seraphine in the middle of this fight. They took the Seraphine out first, and it still worked. Take it away. I don't know.
And the thing is, like, these fights have been evolving in different ways. The first couple of fights which Dusty were winning were when they got the 2-for-1 special on the Yuumi carry. They get the huge Yasuo combo, kill the Yuumi at the same time, and that meant actually the Xayah was dealable. You can kind of just about manage to get them, even if the Yuumi was on someone else. If you catch the Xayah themselves, hell yeah, great fight. But as you can see in this one, Chrisberg, with all the items in the world, even in the 5v4, struggled to get the job done. Now, they're trying to go back towards this Baron, but then Voxner, oh, he's caught out.
They're trying to make it happen. This could be the moment. This could be the pick. This could be the turnaround. Backland now trying to trade onto Taxa, looking for punishment back, taking so much damage he is. Goes Golden. The Sonic Wave was stopped. Over the wall goes Linces trying to get to the back of this pit. Will go down. Now what about Carlson with Kiba on the back of him? Shuffled backwards. Stend takes a tower. Linces dies. Dragon falls to Kerberos on the other side, but the junglers being dead means no smite. And it's just the damage from whichever team can get it. I believe Astralis should secure it. They do.
I mean, I don't know. This is just I'm just sat here like, where do you even go from that? Because Astralis are now choosing to go for the more pick-based gameplay. They managed to find Dusty split across the map. They see Dragon and Baron up at the same time. They say, okay, we're on Soul Point, Dusty on. They don't have the option of trading up by taking Dragon instead of the Baron. They forced Dusty to make that decision. And yes, Dusty now have those 2 dragons, but they have the Baron to use. And it's then Voxner, not for the first time this series. Heck, he did this a lot in spring as well, where he's walked up. Sorry, no, that wasn't it back in spring, but either way. But then Voxner walks up and on a carry, which has no right to be face checking these objectives, is the first one caught out. That's a little worrying for Dusty.
I don't know what, that was my favorite part of the broadcast, because both me and Alex were sitting there with our hands like right next to like shrugging, and we're like,
so what do you say?
Now what? Okay, so this is a very competitive game between the two, because for Astralis, the code name right here is make picks, get something done. Oh no.
Speaking of making picks, he's taken down, not quite out.
That's
the G will keep him alive. Big moment. They've thrown some ultimates out as well. The final chapter, the kick, the world ender from Carlson as well. 3 ultimates in trade for 2. But what about the shove in from the Baron afterwards? It doesn't stop the shove right now. Linces is shoving in the mid lane though, to prevent that being another option. The bot lane wave isn't really there either. So now it's going to be a 4v5. Rooted is Taxa. Encore just goes wide. Kerberos pretty low on the other side. Doesn't have got a flash. Does use it. Gets on out as Chrisberg started hunting for him. Linces continuing
to delayed. They've delayed. You've got the clone to attack the towers. We saw them use this in the top lane earlier for the first Herald. But Wukong is one of the best tower destroyers in the game. Linces doing the rarely seen split push on junglers. Manages to get a cross-map trade for Dusty in the mid lane.
I think this is so important, because if we're looking at setups right here for Yasuo, Linces is the only setup. Unless you can get a shove in from Kerberos, which, by the way, is being really peeled off of this fight. So it's really difficult to actually use it on a very crucial member in the backline, someone like Chrisberg. You need Linces to have ult. Because Linces didn't have ult, means that he's not necessarily too useful to get Yasuo in. And if he doesn't have his ult, he cannot engage for his team.
Collapse.
Who can, though, is Taxer, and they're looking
wise. Gonna get the seismic shot of the Emperor's Divide away. Here come the rest of Dusty, though. Sonic Wave lands, so nothing more is found.
And for the first time, it feels like it's not Dusty winning out and out on the macro, because even in earlier games in this series, the games against Riddle, when they were losing some of these fights, maybe dealing with some very high scaling champions, Dusty was still getting the better of the map, and they're finding something here. They're finding different things, and they're keeping themselves in the game, but it's still give and take from both teams. I'm struggling to make sense of the entirety of this game, though, because the thought processes are really changing quite rapidly. Dusty, in particular, making a lot of split-second decisions to go to another lane, collapse on this area of the map, look for this pick, look for that, and feels like one mistake could genuinely decide this game. Chrisberg, he gets engaged on
Mistake,
two.
he gets rooted! Throws out the ultimate, but here goes Linces! Last
There's the
breath!
mistake!
Last fight! They get everything they could ever ask for. No GA on Aatrox, so he's dead as well. Senkux turns up to try and find something, anything, but the Emperor's empire crumbles before it could even be formed. Dusty hold on to their dynasty. They find a second title, and they find the pick on the Xayah.
Emperor's Divide, Emperor divided. Here lies Ozymandias of the mid lane. Senkux can do nothing but watch Dusty take the title.
Oh my god, Dusty, isn't that poetic? Finally, someone with the back-to-back. Take it away, Sam.
Here you stand, everybody watching from home. Take your hats off, bow down, and praise them. Dusty find another. 2 titles in a row in his